joining our webinar on how to use Teams and Outlook with Business Central. My name is Michelle Cerna and I will be leading this webinar with you today. Let's hop into Business Central and take a look at how we can integrate Outlook with BC. So the first step you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look for the assisted setup. So in your looking glass you can type in assisted, and you're going to scroll all the way down to do more with Business Central, and we want to set up your business inbox. Now I've already set this up, so I get a nice warning. You've already completed the setup of your inbox. Do you want to run it again? Just to show you guys how it works, we'll say yes, and we're going to start going through our wizard. So next page, we have the options of choosing mailbox versus organization. If you are the individual end user setting up your own, you're going to want to choose My Mailbox. If you are an administrator of a company, you can set up My Organization. Not everyone has to use this tool, so if only a few people would like to have this set up, you can do it just for My Mailbox very, very easily. And you'll say next and finish. And now what it's going out and doing is it's grabbing your Outlook Exchange environment, it's dropping in that plugin for Business Central, and it's getting it all set up. So that's all you have to do in Business Central to get that ready and working. Let's hop into Outlook and see how it looks there. Here you are going to find underneath the Do More with Business Central, set up your business inbox in Outlook. Now it's letting me know I've already run it, but we'll do it again. And you'll have a quick wizard. Now we'll just push next to go through, and there's two options, My Mailbox or My Organization. Unless you're an administrator who wants to set this up for the entire organization, I would recommend just setting it up for My Mailbox. And go ahead and push next. Now what that does is that enables an add-in for your Office Outlook extension. And once I push finish, we will see that it's actually connecting to the Exchange, and it's deploying that add-in. So this will work on both our Outlook if you have that on your desktop, or it's going to work for your Outlook that you have in the web. So here you can see for my desktop, I have some emails, and up here in my toolbar now, I have my add-in for Business Central. If anyone is also operating off of customer engagement, you'll see that there's also an add-in for customer engagement as well, and they'll spend their time together next to one another for easy access. So let's see how this integration actually works and how it can help you on a day-to-day basis. Now we're going to first look at this email here I have from Adam, from Adam's Bakery. And I don't think that I have him as a customer, so I just want to check I have contact insights here. And if I click on that contact insights, it's going to reach out to Business Central. And now the first time that you're using it, it's going to ask you to log in so it can validate that you have the correct credentials and authentication. Since I've already logged in before, it's going to skip that step for me. Now right away I can see, and I can make this bigger by scrolling out, or I can also pop it out if I want to. And I can change companies if I have multiple companies on any of these emails. So it's letting me know, do I want to add a new contact? Because we don't recognize Adam in here. So I can either view existing or I can add Adam as a contact. So let's do that. It's going to bring in his name and his email address from our email. And we can say that this is a person or a company. So we'll start with the person, and we want to associate it to a company. Now, if I'm looking at my list here, I don't have Adam's Bakery, so I want to add in this new customer. I have a template for my customer, so I don't need to fill in that number. It will bring it in for me. And I'm going to call this Adam's Bakery. This is creating that contact for that company. Now I can bring in all the different information that I would normally use in Business Central. So maybe I want to put on this address. And let's go back up to that zip code. So I'm just navigating using my tab and my enter, my quick keys in my, my keyboard here to navigate through. And once I have everything I'd like for that contact, I'll go ahead and say OK. And now I have associated the contact of Adam to Adam's Bakery. So we'll say OK here. It's going to then give me my statistics for that contact, just like I would have in Business Central. So you can see new notes, new links, all of that is going to integrate with Business Central and be fully usable. Now I want to pop it out just so I can see I have more space, and it's going to pop out a window. Now it looks like it is Business Central, but it's still connected to Outlook. So this is a specific Outlook window, not your Business Central window. So it looks a little bit different than Business Central, but for the most part, we've got all the same fields and abilities. Now from here, I could even choose to create an opportunity, turn this contact into a customer, create a vendor. So you have all of these options available without ever leaving Outlook and going into Business Central. So if I wanted to turn my Adams Bakery company into a customer and transition, then I could do that by going into my contact. Now I just want to stay into this contact here and see those insights. So very, very easy to just create a new contact or vendor or customer, whatever kind of record we need to, right from Business Central. So that's the process of creating a new contact. Let's check out something with someone who already exists. So I see here I have an email from Connor, and he says, can you please add on another large cappuccino and almond croissant to my delivery order for tomorrow? Here's my order number. So you can see that this is actually a hyperlink. So Outlook is recognizing that this is specifically for an order into my Business Central environment. So here it says, oh, okay, well, I recognize that. Here's that order. I can leave it this size. I can make it a little bit bigger just so it's easier to read. And where did you hide from me? Oh, it didn't like me when I pushed that button. That's so silly. Let me reopen this guy. So on this order, if I want to, I can then add on another large cappuccino and almond croissant. So let's see, I'm going to scroll down to my lines. Here's already a large cappuccino. Let's just check out these details. Okay, that looks good. All right, so a large cappuccino, I'm going to update this to 2. And another almond croissant. So I'll update that to 2. And looks good. So now that we are ready, he's confirmed his order is ready for delivery tomorrow. I can go ahead and I can post this. I can even post and send out an invoice if I want to right from here, and update all of my records. So it's going to allow me to update this email. It's going to pop open. Since I said post and send email, it will return it to Connor. It will attach that PDF of whatever your sales invoice form is. So even if you have a customized form, it will still bring in that customization and drop in your PDF. You can even come in here, and if I wanted to, I could say, hi, Connor. I've updated your order and the invoice is attached for payment. You could send this off to Connor. It brings in your signature based off of whatever signature you have set up inside of Business Central. Super easy, quick process. I could even take a look at my insights on my contact here or my customer. Let's see if there's any notes in here before I send out that email. I just want to double check that I haven't left any details unchecked. I can see that he has a balance, but nothing's past due. He's a pretty new customer. We don't have a lot of outstanding records. Oh, but I see a note here. Let's see, what does this note say? Has a big dog in the office, bring some puppy bones when you deliver. Awesome. So when I send out this invoice and I get my order ready to be delivered, I can make sure that I prep that delivery order with the puppy bones so that we have some happy dogs when we take the owners their coffee. From here, I can also, again, navigate out to other records. So if I wanted to, I could bring over, let's see, I can bring over an approval or a rejection process for those workflow approvals for invoices. I could check out the prices or line discounts that maybe are assigned. I could even register a payment for this invoice if my customer then calls me to make a payment. So you can see that it's very, very dynamic, and we can access all of the same functionality that we have in Business Central from the ease of use of Outlook. So that's with an existing order. Let's say someone wants to create a new one. Well, we've got Gina here who would like a sales quote. She'd like a quote on 10 1-pound bags of Brazilian whole beans, 10 1-pound bags of New Guinean whole beans, and then 20 of the ground Ecuadorian roast. All right, so let's make this for Gina. I actually want to, since she's already a contact, I want to come in here and I'd like to create a sales quote. So Business Central is going to open up our sales quote window, but we're going to make a stop on the way. And this is one of my favorite parts of this integration. So we can actually see here, suggested line items. Business Central recognizes some of the words that are in this email. So I actually see, so spinach, not quite, cafe vanilla and white chocolate mocha, no, but Ecuadorian roast, Brazilian roast, and then the New Guinean roast all match what she's actually ordering. So I'm just going to update these with the quantities that she's ordering because it didn't recognize it 100%, it didn't fill in those quantities for me. Now, if a customer uses the items in an email, it will recognize it and also update that quantity for you. So once I have whatever I'd like, then I can check it off. And now let's pop this out to get some more room. I can see that my sales quote has been created for Gina's Cafe, and all of the defaults that are from my customer are going to pop in. So it's going to still follow all of the rules that Business Central has within it. And I have my 3 items that were added with my quantity. Now I need to check the location because I don't have a default location set up on these items. I just need to update them with where those quantities are going to be taken from. And I don't have a price on here because I'm so silly, I didn't put prices. If I did, they would be filled in automatically. So let's assign those prices. Let's say that it's $7 for the Brazilian roast and $6.50 for the New Guinean and $8.25 for the Ecuadorian. And we're going to get our extended costs. If you have taxes turned on, it would calculate those taxes for you. And now it's going to give me those extended amounts. Now your dimensions are still 100% available. So if we had to fill in any dimension values, we still have that ability. So I'm going to see, I have my food code on here. If this is at home coffee, I think we had dark roast here, and this one was maybe a medium, and they're all available. Now, one thing I noticed is that she asked for one of my bags to be ground beans, and that is not something that my service recognized because that's another item number. It's a service that I provide. So I can still add on additional line items, even if they're not in the suggested line item locations there. And so for me to ground all of those bags, there was 5, so we'll say that it's a $5 charge to grind those up. And now my order is ready. So I could, at that point, then either make that an order, or I can come over here and I can send that out by email. And again, the system is going to pull any defaults that we have on our customer. So Gina has been defaulted to receive her emails right to her email address. If it was sent to accounting, we'll say, or set up to send to accounting, it would also bring in that information. It will always respect the rules or items that have been created within Business Central. Now I can say, hey, Gina, here's your quote, and it's going to send out the information. This is what I have for my default body of my email. They are customizable. So if you don't like how that's set up, it is easy to change. And we also have a PDF attached here. So then you just come up here and you send out your email. You can also attach additional files. So if you had a contract that needed to be attached, or photos, or something special that you had to attach to your email in addition to what was produced by Business Central and Outlook, you are still able to do that. So I'm going to keep this as a draft in my email outbox, but you can send it out really whenever you're ready. I'm just not ready to send it to her. So now that that quote is done, I just want to show you, we're going to hop into Business Central so you can see If I go into that sales quote window here, that the quote for Gina's Cafe has been created. So if I click into here and go in, I can see that she has these items available, and all of the information that we filled out in Outlook has been transferred over here. So it's an instant integration. You don't need to wait for anything to update. So far, all that we've seen has just been on the sales side. So can things be done on the purchasing side? They sure can. Let's say you have a vendor that you've requested prices of their different items, and you then need to create a purchase order. Well, thankfully, Jade's Flavor Emporium has responded to my email with the different prices of syrups that I'd like to buy for my coffee wholesale business. So now what I can do is I can create that purchase order. You can see we have purchase invoice, purchase credit memo, and purchase order all available here. So to create that purchase order, I'm going to link up to Business Central. If my system recognizes Jade as a contact, then it will automatically fill it in. If not, then we would be prompted to create that contact. So here, Business Central is a little bit confused because now we've said a few different things here. We've said syrup, I have almond, I have hazelnut, I have marshmallow. Again, I'm not using the exact item numbers, but my system is still doing its best to help me out here. So I actually do want syrups. I actually only have one item for every single syrup, and it put in my quantity of 10. And now I'm going to make this very specific to what I'd like to order. So she gave me my prices, she gave me all the flavors available, and I know that every single one is $2. But now in my line item, if I want to order a specific syrup, I still have the ability to do something like a variant or checking my quantities, my dimensions, any comments that we have. So those kinds of functions are still available if we need them. Now my syrups are all variants. So I'm going to pick a few of these and I'm going to update the variant on my line item. So I would like 10 of the almond syrups, and I can add on another line for a different flavor I'd like. Now, this will respect the same shortcut keys that you have in Business Central. So one of my favorites is F8, which copies the value from the line above, and I bring in that item. So I'm going to just add on a couple more syrups that I need to order and put in the quantities that I would like. So let's just get a few more here. We'll get lots of peppermint because that's my favorite. And we can see if we scroll over, we're still getting any of the prices that we did set up. And we have any of those planned receipt dates if we'd like to fill them in. And again, our dimensions. We scroll down and we have all of the same fields that are in Business Central. So we can update any prepayment information if we know that prepayments are due. We can process that prepayment invoice right from here. We can update our delivery location if we'd like to, any invoice details, it's all available. Now I don't have my vendor invoice number because I haven't actually placed my order. So at this time I could go ahead and I could either save it and close it, or if I wanted to, again, I could send out the email or I could even print it out if I want to. You have the ability to attach as PDF on any of these as well. Attaching as a PDF is pretty handy. If you were to go into your details here, you could come down and see that we now have an attachment, and that attachment, I can't open it in my Outlook, but in your web client, you could see that this attachment is a copy of that purchase order PDF. So if you don't send it out but still want to keep a copy, you can do attach as PDF and it will save it to your record. You can see by going into the details, we also have access to all of our vendor history, any availability for our line items if we already had some available, and notes and forecasting. So even though it's an integration to Business Central and it doesn't necessarily store the data, we still have that open access back and forth between the two different places of record. Right, so now let's hop back into Business Central. And again, let's see what those types of things look like. So if I were to go over to the purchase orders, I could now see I have 2 open orders with Jade's Flavor Emporium, and I could click in and I could update it just as I would if I was ready to receive those goods. So Outlook is a very simple installation, a very simple integration, just made to make your daily tasks a little bit easier, a little bit quicker. So let's see now how we can integrate to something like Teams. Now, your integration to Teams is a little bit more focused on working with your peers, where your Outlook integration is enhancing your own job and tasks on a daily basis. So let me open Teams here. And I can see that I have a message from Jade waiting for me. Now this is Jade, my coworker now, instead of Jade, my vendor. So Jade, my coworker, has said, hey, Gina called and likes that quote that you sent over. Can you please send her the sales order? Well, Jade was nice enough to include Gina's contact card. And how did we do that? Well, all you have to do in your Teams environment is go to your 3 ellipses, and this is going to find apps that are out there in the Teams app space. Now, if you don't see this, it's because your network administrator has not enabled it. You are able to ask them to enable it so that you're capable of downloading the Business Central add-in. And all you would need to do is just type in Business Central, and you can see here that there's an app available. Now, when you have the app installed, it takes 2 seconds to get there. You will see it here on the bottom next to all of your other apps. The first time that you access it, you will need to go into your settings, and it's going to reach out and find in your Azure AD space what environment. So you can see I've got a few environments. I'm using a sandbox environment, and then you get to choose your company. So again, if you have multiple companies that you're operating out of, it does not make this useless. You actually get to choose whatever company you'd like to work in. So you can see we have several different companies, and I can choose which one I'm searching my records. So now that I have that, I can click on the actual app button instead of right-clicking, and I'm going to be able to search my business contacts. You'll notice that both of these integrations are driven by contacts at the moment. In the next release here in October, there's going to be even more functionality. So it won't necessarily be driven by contacts only. Now, even though they are driven by contacts, you can still hop around. So let's see how you can do that. Now, if I didn't get this handy message from Jade with my contact, I could still look it up. Let's say I was the one sending it out. And I can see that I have 2 contacts with the name Gina. I have Gina, who's the actual contact, and I have Gina's Cafe, who is my customer. You could choose either and still get the end result. It's just going to depend on what your preference is. Now you can see that it fills in your message, and you could type whatever. You could see that Jade typed a note to me asking me to make her quote into an order. So now let's see how you can interact with this. Up here, I could copy it if I needed to put it into another message instead of having to search again. I have pop out and I have details. Now, if I do details from here, it's just going to give me a little window. It's just authenticating now to make sure that I actually have the access that it is asking for. And now it's going to bring me Gina's contact information. You can also do pop out, and it's going to put it into a web browser for you. Before I move on into those details, if you do not like using your little app add-in down here, you can always still use your search bar, and I just put in @BU and it will bring up Business Central, and you can search the same way here. So it will start searching for any of those records that it recognizes as being in Business Central. So let's look at these details on Gina, and we want to actually turn her quote into an order. So I'm going back to that pop out that I requested, and this brings me to Business Central. So you can see it actually, if you do pop out, goes into Business Central. If you choose to keep it small, you can have Business Central sorry, too many buttons here. You can have Business Central just inside of Teams. So it's really whatever you prefer. Even from here, you can navigate around Business Central. So if I wanted to get to my customer, I could just click customer and stay inside of Teams without having to go to the browser. Now I can see from Gina here, if I wanted to, I can get my information pane, and I see that she's got 2 sales quotes. And this sales quote here, I'd like to make it an invoice, or if I click into it, I can have all of my options and make it into an order. So if I say yes, I'd like to see the new order, I can open that up. I can even then come over here and I could send it out. I'd like to email my confirmation. Brings up all of my normal settings for those emails, just like I would expect for it to work in Business Central. And I can send out that email with her order confirmation. Very, very easy for me to be able to access records on the fly and quickly. So then I can tell Jade, thanks, processed the order and emailed. And I didn't even have to leave Teams. So I was able to complete a task that normally I'd have to go into my browser, log in, look up my sales quote, process all of my information, and then send out my finalized order. And I did it all within Teams without having to search for anything because my coworker sent me that contact. I was able to just navigate right in. Other things that you're able to do from those details, you can fully navigate inside of Business Central if you want to. The biggest, I would say, hang up of processing tons of things for Teams is it just depends on the size of your Teams window. So right now I have my Teams window minimized, so my Business Central window is minimized. If you have your Teams window fully extended, then your window for Business Central inside of Teams will also be extended. So the biggest thing you're going to have to look for is how much space you want on your screen to process these types of things. Now, I was obviously able to transfer something like a sales quote to an order very, very easily. But again, you are able to fully access Business Central right from this window. It's just going to be about navigating through to the different spaces that you need. You could even create new documents from here if you wanted to begin something else. So if someone was reaching out to you to create orders instead, they're all fully functional. So that is going to be the conclusion of taking a look at Outlook and Teams. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a lot more functionality coming out with Teams and Outlook at the next upgrade in October. You are also able to have a full inbox and outbox integration with Outlook, tracking emails that are sent from Business Central with Outlook. And that is able to be set up by your administrator with an SSL certificate. So the 2 items that we looked at today, you don't need an administrator or an SSL certificate to get them going. But if you want the full tracking of emails in and out of Business Central, then there is ways to do that now. So that's one of our newer features. If you have any questions, as usual, please reach out to the team. I'll put it up here on the screen so you can see it. The TruNorth team, account managers at TruNorthDynamics.com. If you're one of our current clients, you are always welcome to email the team at BC Support. We are happy to answer questions about getting these integrations up and running.
Michelle, I have some questions if you'd like me to ask them.
Perfect.
Awesome. So I noticed, can you go back into Outlook for me?
Yes.
So I noticed that you can use this on Outlook on your desktop. Can you also use it on Outlook Online?
You can use it on Outlook Online. Your button looks a little bit different, but it will still be in your toolbar for you. It is fully functional in the same ways.
Excellent. All the same ways. It doesn't have, there's no difference.
Nope.
Awesome. Thank you. I also noticed that there's a pin when you open up the actual window to access BC. It has a little pin there. So what does that pin do?
This one here?
The little stick pin. Yes, that's the one.
It's going to pin it onto your screen so that you can leave it up. And when you navigate around through your emails, it's going to keep Business Central so it's constantly floating around and updating based off of what email you've selected.
Oh, that's really handy. Very fantastic. I like that.
Yes.
All right. So, one last thing. So, when you were updating Gina's suggested, or sorry, when you were updating Gina's order that was coming in, uh, you had mentioned that there was some suggested order items. What are those based off of? Is that like a her previous orders, or is that how does that suggested items come up?
When you are going to create a new transaction off of an email, the system is actually going to be using Microsoft's built-in AI, and it's going to be reading your email body to try and find verbiage that matches.
Oh, I
So
gotcha.
So for example, this item here is white chocolate mocha bean. So it's picking up the actual bean that's in the item list here. And you can see it picked up the Ecuadorian and New Guinean, spinach, feta, and egg wrap. I'm not sure what it picked up from there, but it's trying to, as best as possible, match any of the verbiage, including your quantities. And if you had item numbers, it would pick up those as well to
Oh,
create those
fantastic.
suggested line items.
Great. No, those were just some of the observations that I had when as you were going through the demonstration. It seems like a really handy tool. Do you know if, because I noticed that you're running Dynamics 365 customer engagement, so if anybody's running them both at the same time, I mean, you haven't noticed any kind of issues with that at all, correct?
Nope, and they are fully functional. So if I were to go
Perfect.
into, Jade, the coworker or the customer, and I also use them in customer engagement, it would also recognize their contact information from there as well. So they are fully functional together.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's all the questions I had.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions? We still have some attendees on the line, so if for some reason you have any questions, feel free to post them in. We'll kind of leave this open for a little bit longer, and just kind of want to make sure that everybody understands who was doing the talking here. That was Michelle Cerna. She is our Business Central guru, if you will, and we want to thank everybody for being able to attend here today. And again, as Michelle said, that if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll answer those for you.